So guys, I typically would post this sort of breaking news on the second channel, Positive Investing News. By the way, if you're not subscribed, join the community there. I post there pretty regularly on breaking news. The reason I wanted to post this on the main channel today was because we talk so much about SPACs on the channel. I've covered tons of SPACs in the past that I think this warrants a bigger audience, and I think it's important to have it on the main channel today. So I just actually came across this breaking news, essentially, this article where the SEC has opened an inquiry into Wall Street's blank check IPO frenzy, according to Reuters. Now, this is pretty big news. It's about just about midnight here, and this was broken about an hour ago or so. So I'm trying to get this to you as quick as possible, and I hope you guys appreciate that. And if you do, a thumbs up, a like goes a long way. Anyways, the details of this, we'll go through that right now, and I'll give you my thoughts on this as well. So here the article pretty much says that the SEC has sent letters to Wall Street banks asking for more information on SPACs, the special purpose acquisition companies. This is pretty much the hot topic for the most part of 2020, and even here in early 2021, SPACs have been all the rage. And the SEC has taken notice, of course, and it looks like they're doing some investigations here. SPACs, if you're not familiar, they're just shell companies. They raise funds and they look to acquire a public company and take it public. And guys, a lot of you think I have stuff against SPACs, and that's not true. I think SPACs are actually a very powerful tool to allow the average investor to go in there and pick up stocks before, Wall Street's able to go in there and front run the stocks. And in fact, I actually own a few SPACs, right? I own View. Not doing so hot right now, but I do own View, and I'll probably make an update video on this at some point. But this is a SPAC that I own. I also own Clover Health, another one not doing so hot right now, but it is another SPAC that I own, one of Chamath's SPACs. So no, I don't have anything against SPACs, but I am very skeptical on a lot of them. And I do think that many of them are not really going to make it through, say, the next 3 to 5 years. I think a lot of them are actually going to just fail, flop. The businesses that they merge with aren't really going to pan out, and there's going to be a lot of money lost. But at the flip side, there are a lot of good businesses that come out of SPACs as well, and those companies will probably return investors some massive profits over the long term. Anyways, the one thing interesting from this article was that I read that the SEC has actually asked the banks to provide their information voluntarily, so it didn't really raise to the level of formal investigation demands. However, when I was reading through this, it said here that two people said letters were sent by the SEC's enforcement division, and this suggests that this may be actually a precursor to a formal investigation. This may just be like a, hey, can you hand us over some information? We want to look into this. And you don't have to, but we're asking for it. And then they get that, they look into it more, and they're like, you know what, we need to launch a full investigation to see what's going on with this whole SPAC mania. Now we have some information here saying that the SEC actually was looking into this because they wanted information on SPAC deal fees, volumes, and what control banks have in place to police the deals internally. The second above source also said that the SEC has asked questions relating to compliance, reporting, and internal controls. Now, we all know that when a company goes public through a SPAC, it's usually a very quick process compared to the traditional IPO route, which not only costs companies a lot of money to file publicly, but it also takes a lot of time and a lot of paperwork, and that usually is a long, painful process. Robinhood, for example, filed for an IPO. This was actually yesterday's news. And, they're one of the few companies that have decided to go through an IPO route as opposed to a SPAC route. And honestly, in my opinion, usually when a company goes through an IPO route, it gives me a lot more confidence in the financials, in the metrics, in the management, and what they're saying, all of that stuff. And I'm a bit more inclined to invest in the business versus a SPAC, but that's just personal preference, guys. Anyways, the SEC hasn't really commented on this. There hasn't really been a whole lot of information apart from this breaking news here. It is still fairly fresh. But the one last thing I want to show you guys is this chart right here that I came across. And this is mind-blowing. This is actually the amount of SPAC deals or deal value over the last few years, and we can see just how significant 2020 was. Typically, on average, you see $10 billion or less in SPAC deals. People haven't even heard of SPACs before 2020. But then in 2020, we saw nearly, close to $100 billion, just over $80 billion in deal value from these SPACs. That sucked in a lot of new investors. And what's even crazier, guys, is in these first 3 months, 2.5 months really, of 2021, we have seen more than half of what we've seen in 2020. That just shows how hot this market is right now. Now, because of the recent correction, because of what's happening with stocks like Clover, because of what's happening with stocks like Open Door, because of what's happening with stocks like CCIV, these stocks have just been destroyed in recent weeks. And it's kind of all those investors that flooded in and all that money that's flooded in here for all of this hype, it's kind of starting to cool off a bit, and we're starting to see that in prices being reflected. Now, my thoughts are that I don't really know where this investigation is really going to go. I don't think it's really going to lead to too much. However, it is definitely worth keeping an eye on, especially if you're someone who invests in SPACs recently, you have a lot of money in SPACs right now. You definitely want to keep an eye on this because it could definitely turn out to be something more serious. However, as of right now, I just wanted to bring it up to your radar. Keep this in the back of your mind. Keep an eye on this because you've worked hard for your money, and I would hate to see you lose it because of some investigation or some fraud that's been going on because of all the money that's been poured into SPACs recently. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, check out the second channel, Positive Investing News. Subscribe there, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel as well, make sure you do so down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.